Hi, welcome to another session with Knowledge Hub. Today's topic that we are going to discuss is about environment. You must be wondering, what is this? All these days we are discussing about the role of media in relation with development aspects like population. We have discussed something about the health, education, and all that in the previous class, and all of a sudden now we came to environment. Is because yes, environment is part of the development. How? Definitely, if we protect our environment, then only we will be healthy. If we are healthy, then only our output will be more and our income level will also grow. So definitely environment is part of the process of development. Now as a development journalist, it's just not only that you look at the health, education, and all these things which are related with human beings, but also with nature, because human beings are connected with nature. Now in this class we will try to understand how environment plays a key role and what is the perspective of the international level, national level, and also local level. How are we looking at environment, and what are that we need to bring change in the environment? Now, environment in the global perspective. Yes, what other international countries are thinking? Because this environmental issue is not just about only one country, it is about the entire world. Now, all the countries have come together and decided to look into this and then take certain actions because it is going to affect the entire earth. So, all the people in the world are going to get affected if the environment is not being protected. So to do so, what are the steps, the international level that are being taken? We need to understand now. Now you can see here, NASA has come up with a different kind of a understanding. Is initiated, has started that causes of climate change may be. Climate change may be due to the increase of the human impact on the greenhouse effects. Now, when the atmosphere traps heat radiating from the earth, so this the organization NASA, we all know very well, and it has started looking into the issue of the climate change. Now, since the NASA has started looking into the topic of the climate change, many things have come into the picture. And basically, they have started looking at the concept of the greenhouse effects. How is the climate change is affecting the greenhouse? Now, they have identified certain gases that contribute to this greenhouse effect. What are those? Certain things like water vapor, carbon dioxide. Out of all other chemicals, I think mostly the carbon dioxide is the main major thing that is affecting the environment. And also, these are the other factors that are also reasons behind the effect of the particular thing. Now, what are these international countries are doing? The international countries have come up with the Paris Agreement. Multiple countries have joined Paris Agreement. If you are studying about environmental topic and you are not learning about the Paris Agreement, then it is incomplete. You must go through this agreement and try to understand what the international countries are come together to decide about the Paris Agreement, and they have agreed to reduce the greenhouse emission by 2030 and to bring and to give a kind of a good future to the next generations. They have targeted a year 2030 to take up, but yet the new data shows that none of these participating countries are on the schedule. So planning is being done, but not much of work is going on. Okay, so now we will go little more details into the background of this environment. What is that background that we need to first understand, right? Who is to be blamed for this climate change? Of course, we all get this doubt, right? If you answer by yourself, you would definitely say, we ourselves are the reasons for this. Yes, of course, we ourselves are also the reasons for it. But we here I would like to mention that definitely government and industries are to be blamed for the climate change and should be held responsible. Why? Because definitely the government should have a certain restrictions on the industrial plants and the chemicals that they are releasing, and the industries also should take a responsibility of not looking only at it as a commercial aspect of taking up their business, but also the benefit of the people who are living in the surrounding areas and everywhere. The industrial revolution skipped an interest in manufacturing, ultimately allowing for technological expansion and greenhouse emissions. There is a lot of development happening, but what is that which is happening? The technological expansion is happening. We are getting a lot of money, but definitely another cause that is affecting the all of us is the greenhouse emissions. So it is good that we are having industrial revolution, but at the same time we are also suffering with something called like a greenhouse emission. While the advancements in the field have had many positive effects on the economy and long term effects of the industrial revolution, they are affecting our environment. No doubt, this is a fact. We are now left with, consequences of the kind of an industrial revolutions that have been taken up. Now, the government main concern, what is the government main concern? Is just not only the economy, even the environment, because it is in danger. The government around the world needs to focus on the effects of the emissions can be determined. So emissions until a solution for the environment can be determined. Now there are. This is a major problem. Since I've told you, it is the government and industries that are responsible for that. So they are the ones who are supposed to be even looking at the solutions for the this kind of problem by increasing the budget for sustainable activities. Now, what is that which we have to look at is the sustainable activities and regulating industries more harshly. And it is important to bring in solutions that can determine ultimately help the environment. So this is a little background that I have given you. Now, what you're seeing is a the chat that is talking that is showing you a kind of a statistics here. This is a pie diagram where you can see Asia and especially China is having a highest percentage of emissions of the carbon dioxide. Okay, China stands in the first place. Next, in the second place, you can see America with 15%, and then India with 7%. This is a 2018 statistics, but more or less remaining statistics are also kind of in the same line. You can see all that which is in pink is nothing but the Asia, and all that which is in blue color is America, and the remaining, share of the other countries which is mentioned over here is given very clearly. But the major chunk is between China, US, India, and Russia. So these are the major countries that are releasing a lot of carbon dioxide, which is affecting the Mother Earth. Now, the same statistics that have been provided here with China having, this much of CO2 emissions every year, and this is as per the 2018 statistics. China stands first, US stands second, India stands third, Russia and remaining countries follow in this lane. So, what does this indicate? This two, a diagram and a table indicates that definitely there is a major concern from countries which are very popular. At the same time, third world countries are there, developing countries are there, well developed countries are also there in this list. So it's not a responsibility of any one country, it is a responsibility majorly by many countries, and the rich countries and also the countries who doesn't generally gel with the other countries so easily. So these countries have need to be controlled, and they need to be given certain instructions and guidance in terms of following environmental rules and regulations properly, so that the remaining world will not get affected with it. The international conferences and the environmental issues are very important, and then the chart and the table, the compiled in the shown in the previous slides, are compiled by the International Energy Agency, which estimated carbon dioxide emissions mostly from the coal, natural gases, and then oil and other fuels, including the industrial wastage and non-renewable municipal waste. So all these things are generated from these wastage things, and that was compiled by the International um, Energy Agency. Now, the history of the sustainable development, if you go into the how this concept of sustainable development has emerged, the United Nations dates back to the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment. held in Sweden in 1972. So this is an important year that all of you must keep in your mind while you are reading. So the kind of a small history begins from the 1972. So this is the first year with which it begins. Next moves to various years. So let us try to understand what is this particular meeting that was held, conference that was held, has resulted in terms of what. United Nations Conference on Human Environment held in Sweden in 1972 is the first thing, and this is the conference adopted the declaration and the plan of action which set out principles for the preservation and enhancement of human environment with recommendations for international environmental actions. The conference also created the United Nations Environment Program in the first, and this is the first UN program focused solely on the environmental issues. Okay, and also at the same time, it took almost so many years, like 20 years later, the historic Earth Summit, whereas 1972. After that, 20 years, there was an historic at the summit that took place in 1992. By then, majority of the damage has been taken place with related with the environment. They woke up in the year 1992 and then started working again on this with the help of United Nations, sought to help government rethink economic development and find ways to stop the pollution and planet and develop its natural resources. So this is the next year which has actually contributed to the development. So, basic to Agenda 21. Now, something that you also have to remember is something called like Agenda 21 was the acknowledgement that protecting the environment required collaboration across boundaries. Now, see, if you have to keep your surroundings, it is not just that only you keep your surroundings neat and clean. Your neighbors should also keep it clean, right? So that's what Agenda 21 talks about, meant to reflect the international consensus to support and supplement the national strategies and plan for sustainable development. In 1997, a special section of the General Assembly devoted to the environment, also known as the Earth Summit, examined the implementation of Agenda 21 and proposed a program for the further implementation. So, what is the next development after 1997? 3 years later, in 2000, the Millennium Summit established the 8 Millennium Development Goals, and then in 2002, the World Summit on Sustainable Development has given birth to the new action plan. Later again in 2005, 2008, and 2010, the Millennium Development Goals were reviewed at high level meetings in New York. Now, another year here to be remembered is 2012 in Rio by the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, also called as Rio Plus 20. Now, what is sustainable development? And sustainable development is a development that sustains for a long period of a time. Means you have natural resources and you use it for yourself, and you are not using leaving anything for the next generation. You should also look at the life of the next generation. So from there onwards, the sustainable development concept has started in 2002 and slowly emerged as a very powerful way of looking at improvising the environment. Now, next development happened in the year 2013. 2 years before the deadline which had been set to meet the Millennium Development Goals, a special event was held in New York at which the member states agreed to convince high-level summit in September 2015 to adopt a new set of goals which would build on the foundations led by the Millennium Development Goals. So, Millennium Development Goals are some of the important goals that you should understand in terms of the environment, which was developed by all the countries together to bring in the change in the environmental conditions that are existing right away. 2 years later, in 2015, the United Nations Summit on Sustainable Development gave birth to Agenda 2030. and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So now, Millennium Development Goals 2, we have again 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, like this, the growth of international level has taken place towards steps at the international level have taken place to bring in the concept of environment, protect our nature at the international level. Now, initially started with Millennium Development Goals, slowly shaped to the Sustainable Development Goals, and then a conferences related with the Sustainable Development Goals has resulted that an aim of 2030 was set up to achieve. But now let us look a little more deep about what Sustainable Development Goals are, and how are they protecting the environment. Okay. Since the landmark in 1972 that we just now spoke, Sweden conference, Stockholm, Sweden conference on human environment, the issue of the environment has been placed within the framework of the sustainable development. All of the UN sustainable, development goals have some connection to the environment. The sustainable development goals with direct connection to goals. These have a direct connection to the goals, and here I'm going to give you a list of various goals, what they stand for, and what are the goals are supposed to be. Few important goals have been mentioned over here for your understanding, so that you will be able to refer them and understand. Now you can see here sustainable development goals. One is the clean water and sanitation, affordable for clean energy, and sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption of the production, and also the life below water, and also climate action, as well as the life on land. So these are the few things that are expected from as part of these goals that we just now discussed have a target of 2030. Now, what is the action plan? We discussed about the goals. Now, let's discuss about the climate action plan that the international level countries have taken up. The UN system, together with the partners in working on a help accelerate climate action and assist. Okay. Mm, and assist countries in limiting climate change and to achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement. So ultimately, everything we began with the Paris Agreement, and also we are coming to the end towards the Paris Agreement only. From renewable energies to food security, the jobs and the safety, water, UN is promoting a more sustainable and prosperous world for the everyone. Now, in the Climate Action Summit, summit conveyed in 2019, the brought together representatives of the government and business and civil societies that resulted in an array of initiatives to future climate action. These initiatives comprised of the coalition of the participation from the public and private sectors. This is an important thing. We have public sectors, private sectors, which are running for the industrial sector, right? And they go forward and are producing the good results in terms of less pollution and more of greenery, and also protection of the environment. Um, in, on 12th December 2015, reached a landmark agreement to combat climate change and to accelerate and intensify the action and investment needed for the sustainable low carbon future. The central aim of the Paris Agreement is to see that global response to the threat. Okay, global response to the threat of climate change by keeping in global temperatures rise their century well below 2 degrees Celsius. Because if it is more than that, definitely the damage is going to be more above pre-industrial level, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further into 1.5 degrees Celsius. So this is the target that they have put in. But with the kind of vehicles on road, with the kind of population on in a country like ours, and also with the kind of industries that we are taking up one after the other during the time of corona. Also, I think you all must have experienced how nature was actually changing when everybody were at home, especially places like Delhi. You could see the kind of a pollution that is there, and when everybody were at home during the lockdown, you could see all the animals were coming on the roads and then enjoying the life and the environment. So we have messed up more or less in all the possible way the environment, and I think it becomes our responsibility to see that we again protect the nature and take those responsible steps to protect everybody. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for your patient listening. I hope this video had helped you a lot.